Happy Super Bowl Sunday, traders. Welcome to the weekly watch list. This is Jeff Kohler, aka Option Addict, from over at www.tradingaddicts.com. Since it is Super Bowl Sunday, I don't want to take up too much of your time, and definitely don't want to take up too much of mine, so let's kick off just a little bit of market analysis. We've been following some pretty important developments here within stocks. You guys know I haven't been out here pitching any videos lately because, frankly, there haven't been a whole lot of great technical setups. The market's just been kind of in a little bit of a disarray. A lot of individual cross currents, so really there wasn't much to sit out here and try to force, talking you into. So what I did like about Friday, of course, is the beautiful little reversal that we saw in the S&P. And, I think that reversal came off of a lot of places. There were a lot of things that we keyed in on. And I'll take just a quick minute to talk about some of those things. Number one, the false breakdown here in financials. So really big level of support in the XLF, which prices got down beneath, which looked like a really, really good bear trap. And off that 200-day moving average, the XLF ripped back up into its trading range off of some pretty heavy volumes. So, to me, that looks like a beautiful, beautiful long setup heading into next week, going further out. We've also been talking about copper, and I've been blogging a lot about this lately. I'll use the JJC here, which is a copper tracking ETN. But it's been, copper price has been getting absolutely whacked, and this has been a tremendous leading indicator for equities going all the way back to February of last year. And the copper led stock prices by about a month or so. And as far as copper topping here lately, it also led stocks to the downside. So one of the great things I liked that we set up on Friday was that copper prices really, really weren't going down. And that all comes off of the fact that crude oil, I don't know if you guys were watching crude oil at all, but there was a little bit of panic action in oil prices. You look at this print here in the USO, which got pretty hairy at first and then rallied back. But upon that breakdown intraday in oil prices, copper held up really well. Stocks did not go to new day lows. It seems like everything was just kind of tired of going down. And from there on out, it just looked as if things were getting set up to rally. So we bought into that dip via stock prices, just the way that things were holding up. And I think prices are down low enough. I think we've seen a little bit of that panic action. I think we've pumped enough fear into the marketplace to where we might have put in a bottom here for the next couple of weeks. And so, that's still yet to be determined, but I think this is definitely a safe spot to buy with where stock prices are. A lot of them are down, and many stocks and groups have broken support and they've kind of fallen apart here lately. But there are a lot of trades that are out there that are easy to manage, and most of which I'm going to talk about with you here today. So let's start off with a couple of dip buying setups, a couple of rip selling setups, and my $10 darlings list. All right, so, I don't want to get too complicated here. This is definitely a spot to where you can go out and you can try stocks like Apple down here near its support, right? I also like the idea of going after Goldman, which has been divergent against the S&P. Goldman hasn't put in new lows while stock prices have. And this is one of those little signals I want you to be watching for, is look for stocks that haven't put in new lows. I go back to this McClellan, and you guys know I blogged about this, and this was kind of my bottom calling technique that I used on Thursday night ahead of Friday, saying, hey, put your faith in the McClellan. If you go back and you survey all of the bullish divergences that we've had in the McClellan, they've all been spot on. And the McClellan was divergent here coming into Friday, and stock prices popped. I think that marks the bottom. The same thing with stocks like Goldman, and a couple that we'll be looking at here later today, is I want you to pay pretty close attention to that. Stocks that have held up really well that haven't gone to new lows. Goldman is one. Potash is another. Stocks that have diverged along with this. I think this is a pretty good signal for said stocks. And it's just a lot of these are just really overpopulated setups that just get too crowded of a trade. But something like this, like Potash, a good strong performing stock near a 200-day moving average, it has a little bit of a divergence going on. Those are kind of the obvious trades. Those are absolutely stocks you want to be looking at. In terms of price patterns, there hasn't been a whole lot to choose from over the last couple of weeks, so I've got just kind of a really weird list that I'll take you through here today. But let's get started. I'm going to go to MGM Grand, and I'll go to 1 year chart. You can see this long dated triangle pattern that's setting up. Anytime MGM Grand is down here near the lower end of this, you got to buy. I was a buyer in MGM back here, and that trade paid off wonderfully. It's back at that exact same spot. Had a great little reversal on Friday, so I think you got to be long in anticipation of a breakout. You also got to be looking for stocks that have held up really well, and I'm going to tip my hat here to a TA member by the name of Prakash, who was tracking the stock and the way it had held up here. Zoom out here a little bit, and you can see this is kind of a cup and handle, and been a lot of volume in this stock over the last couple of weeks. So nice little rounded bottom, kind of a double touch here up at about 44, and a little bit of a handle that's been developing with a nice little divergence. Friday's low didn't take out the week's prior low, so I think that's the name you got to look at as kind of an anticipatory breakout. Same thing with the stock like WebSense. Long dated rounded bottom, cup and handle, whatever you want to call it. Good volume up here as prices approach the $20 mark, so that's a stock you got to get long north of 20. A couple other just odds and ends. DYAX. This is going to be part of my $10 darlings list, but if you can see stocks have been coiling up like this, I think that's definitely worth a look. Some of the restaurants. The restaurants have held up really well. Take a look at your Buffalo Wild Wings, your Chipotle Mexican Grill, and then look at Darden here. A couple of those aforementioned stocks have already broken out. Darden's getting pretty close enough, and it's held up so well. While the market's been falling apart, the stock's actually been holding up and trending higher. So I'd be looking for a breakout north of 40. And along those same lines, look at Texas Roadhouse. Food there's not too bad either, but the stock doesn't look all that bad. Nice little rounded bottom. Stock's been trading up here towards its highs. Think you got to buy the breakout. Good volume on Friday too. MITI, been tracking the stock forever. It's already broken out of this little symmetrical triangle, but again, stock's been holding up really well. Tremendous price action there on Friday. This is what I think you got to be looking for here, is for prices to break out of their highs. That's going to be the next pop in the stock. While we're looking at the topic of rounded bottoms and cup and handles and things like that, I mean, that's really basically the most common pattern I see out there. But this Thompson Creek Metals is also in a pretty good spot, right off that 200-day, and it's also been forming higher lows through here. So I love the spot, love the volume. HTS, so love the name of this company, Hatteras. It's classic. But if you look at some of the other competitors, some of these mortgage companies here, Hatteras has just been a nice little symmetrical triangle. A lot of the competitors have already broken out, like CMO, NLY. So watch for that here. It's down at the lower end of this range. Seems like a pretty decent spot. Sanderson Farms. So Tyson broke out last week, and I think Sanderson Farms is going to be the next to go. So watch this as of Monday, because this stock's likely to pop, and it's going to be a quick move. And I don't expect it to get more than maybe 8%, maybe 10% over the course of the next couple of days. But it seems like a classic little rounded bottom. And for those of you that haven't been following us on Trading Addicts, this has been my favorite pattern of all of 2009. I mean, we've had huge success with these rounded bottom type formations and anticipating these breakouts. Sanderson Farms is one of the next one I think is going to go. Next, I'm over to Marshall and Isley, down near the lower end of this long dated consolidation pattern. You got to be a buyer here. I don't like the topic of China, anything with the name China in it. I'm actually not a big fan of right now, but I think you could look at this either way, from a long or a short. And rather than trying to anticipate or guess which way it's going to go, prices have coiled up tight enough. I just sit back and wait for the break and see which way it goes. Also like the auto part theme right now, and GPI is another one that I like, kind of a rounded bottom of sorts, been holding up really, really well over the last couple of weeks. Be watching for a break north of about, let's call it 33. And again, one of my top picks heading into next week is Riverbed. Talked about this on Friday, this big triangle pattern, good volume, good price action on Friday. It's just about ready to break. And then last but not least, another $10 darling here, and that's Quicksilver. ZQK, classic ticker symbol. But look at the consolidation pattern here, right? So to me, it looks like it's just getting ready to go. So that'll do it, guys. I got a football game to watch, and so do you. But hopefully we'll see you guys on Monday. So have a great weekend. This has been the Option Addict. That's been my watch list. Thanks for watching.
The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch.